And I would keep pulling the lands, the fetch lands that I didn't know were worth so much. And I threw them out the window while I was driving. I would I would rip it up. And that's like, stupid land. Oh, give me a good rare. Idiot. What's up, deckheads? Welcome back to MTG with me. It's the Gainswalker. Today, I've got some deck building tips I want to share with you that have been helpful for me, at least on MTGA. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. First thing I want to talk about with the deck building are the keywords. So let's just open up a search here. So this is like, if I wanted to build a deck, that plus sign is like, hey, brand new deck. Okay, cool. The lands are auto-populated with this, which is pretty sweet. I like to play standard, so we'll just do standard. Click the set, that way I know everything I've got is good. There's plenty of different types of keywords. You could have course, enter in like double strike, first strike, trample, lifelink, vigilance. Those are abilities. And they're great keyword searches, especially if you know what abilities you like. But a couple things really stand out. Like if I were to type in the two words target spell, that's going to get some things like counter target spell and things like that. But for the most part, it's going to be a really decent search. It's not going to be, and I'll even click the things that I don't have collected. Here we go. Now we should pull everything in that parameter that says target spell on it. You see, I'm just scrolling through quickly so you can see the colors. There's a decent amount of cards in each color to look at to kind of like figure out what's good in the set and current and standard and so on. And it's not crazy. Target spell, like counter target spell, exile, destroy, those are all very popular. What else could we do? Morticast is kind of like what I was doing. Morticast is interesting because it's not, I don't want to say it's I don't want to say it's extremely old. Maybe it has resurfaced. I started playing in Scars of Mirrodin, so I don't know the entirety. But Morticast seems to be a phrase that has kind of been new since like a Monket and like, oh, this spell costs that much more to cast and this much more and more and more. At least as far as I've noticed, maybe that's just it rotating back at standard. That certainly could be the case. But there's all kinds of unique angles that MTG's started to use over time. One of the old ones is like this card is a silence card. Oh, you can't play spells this turn. You can't play spells this turn, and you just find ways to keep copying that so your opponent just can't do anything. That's certainly one way to do it, but that takes a lot of effort. When I'm building, and this is actually important to note, when I'm building a deck, I don't like to build around two cards, but if I have a combo that works, that is just so valuable, then of course I'm going to use those two cards, and they're going to be 4 of a piece. So, for example, in my, and I'll just pull it up while I'm talking about it, so that way. Illuminator. This guy is a 4 of with Angel Fire. And it's just so obvious. Turn 2, play this. Turn 3, play this. And then if I discard a non-land card, then this is going to be a 4/4 double strike, vigilance, trample, haste, lifelink, indestructible. What? You know what I mean? And it's got double strike. It's just, if I didn't say that already, that's just so much damage to deal with that if they played their turn 2 move instead of waiting to remove your turn 2 move, so like you control the pace if you get this out turn 2 and Angel Fire turn 3 to hit them with it. So it's a really great combo. I like the discard mechanic I have in my deck because it's just another way to kind of utilize your hands instead of your opponent constantly playing off of the every card in their hand must be played like land this turn and something, land and this something. I could literally hold stuff to discard to, and it just helps you play the battlefield more. So like you definitely want abilities and keywords, but you also want them to work together. And I often fall victim to trying to put too many good strategies together to make my own amalgamation of some new deck idea. And that's not to say like, oh, look up cookie cutter deck strategies. I've never been that kind of person. I always like to have that metagame, why'd you bring this to this store kind of deck. That's just me. And I did okay with Legacy. I didn't do crazy good because that Legacy is basically who has the biggest wallet that they're putting into the game. But I have a Storm deck, Goblins, and I still need to show you all that. So I'll definitely do that. But all right, going back to the keywords. You want a combo. You want something that works. You want things that are not like. I mean, ETB. If you don't know what ETB is, ETB is enter the battlefield. Pretty common mechanic. I want to say that's probably the most common, like, I don't want to add, maybe it is the most common mechanic, but ETB is pretty strong. You can, if you blink things, so when I say blink, I mean like Cloud Shift, I mean Restoration Angel, I mean I'm going to exile something and bring it right back so that I can get that enter the battlefield trigger again immediately, not like wait until the end step, I mean like right there. So you can do a whole bunch of combat tricks with that, and really is something you want to pay attention to. But the problem I have with enter the battlefield is that it typically has a bunch of results. Let's see, is this also what I don't? Okay. So it's the good thing and the bad thing about it. It's good because it's a lot going on with it, but it's bad because that's not necessarily what you want out of a search. I want to have an idea. I want to like make sure that there's some synergy, that everything's working. You know, this would take forever to look through, and it's not really what you want. All right, what else could we search for? Counters are weird because you can't type like +1/+1. You might be able to do a +1 dash. Let's see here. I don't recall doing that, so I just do counters or counter on target. Because if you search counters, then you eliminate just counter. So just type counter on target, and that should pull up a decent amount, but I don't want to say a crazy amount. Yeah, we're going through the colors pretty easily. So that would be cool if you want to do like a +1/+1 counter kind of thing. I do like the whole, I think you can select, no, they don't have it. I was going to say, if you could select tribal things, that would be great. A lot of players like doing that. If you want to make an elf deck, I should be able to click elf and then look at the elves, you know? Okay. Another thing you want to search are current mechanics. So with Outlaws of Thunder Junction, you've got a couple things. You've got a little bit of playing with the graveyard. You definitely have the plot mechanic is great. A lot of people really are catching on to that. I see a lot of people playing decks with plot, so that should be really fun. This is where you exile a card or plot it, and then you can play it for 0 at sorcery speed on any other turn. So sorcery speed has to be my turn, obviously. Main phase 1, main phase 2. And you get to play that. So that's good with spells that are saying like, oh, you played 2 spells this turn. And then there's also spells in the set, like Prairie Dog, that say if you don't play any spells, something happens. So you want to find ways to search for what's in the current set just to kind of see what's going on with that as well. Lands are incredibly powerful, and honestly, don't sleep on those. A lot of people think that when they first start out, oh, lands, whatever. And honestly, alright, I'll be honest with you. Some of you are not going to believe me. But I promise you, like, I have no reason to tell you this other than it just sucks and I didn't know. But when I was playing, this was Scars of Mirrodin time, I think it was just after the Zendikar block. Because I remember all the advertisements were like of Chandra all over the windows and stuff. But I would buy a pack here and there when I would go to the store, and Normally I would just buy a couple singles off the racks and stuff, the displays, and just kind of go about it that way. I never bought a booster box or a fat pack, none of that at that time. Just drafting here and there. And I bought a lot of Zendikar packs. And anytime I would open it up, I would be looking for those angels, those like big creatures. Like, give me the angels, give me the dragons, give me the dinosaurs. They didn't have those till way later, but the idea is the same. Like, I wanted big creatures. They looked cool. They were fun to play if you could actually play them. And I would keep pulling the lands, the fetch lands that I didn't know were worth so much, and I threw them out the window while I was driving. I would I would rip it up. And that's like, stupid land. Oh, give me a good rare. Idiot. But those are important, so you want to look at those. Another thing to note with the lands, you just click this tab up here. And with the legendary lands, some people like to run 4-ofs. If you play a second one of these, you have to pick one. So that hurts you, and that kills your land drop. So I would only run 1 of. But I understand if somebody wants to run 4. Some people like to have no creatures. They just want to have one. They just want to have 1 or 2 creatures and protect them with everything else. And that's going to be your Esper, your Grixis, your I don't want to say Selesnya. Selesnya's got more tokens than that. But there's different strategies. Typically, you're either going to have a counter deck, a combo deck, or a token deck. Those are the 3 that you'll typically run into. Alright, next thing we're going to talk about is turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. You've got this awesome idea, you've put it together, now we're looking at the mana curve. So with a mana curve, and I'm just going to go to a deck that I already have. With the mana curve, it tells you a lot about what you could do. Right? This says, right here, my average play is 2.7. So of all the things that I'm going to play, all these cards, 2.7 is the cost. So if that's the case, then that means by turn 3, if I wait till like turn 1 play a 1 drop, turn 2 play a 2 drop, turn 3 I probably won't be playing a turn 2 or a turn 1 drop, or a combination of those. It's probably going to be a 3 drop. And then after that is when it starts to get split up among, multiple spells a turn, that kind of thing. Mono red, you would see like this column, turn 1, turn 2, these would be maxed out. And then it would fall hard by turn 3. And they're just trying to play everything turn 1. That's kind of like a curve you would see there. But each deck kind of has like a barcode of a curve, I'll say. And this is a great visual representation. I love this, like being able to see this. So helpful in understanding, especially looking at it every time, drafting a whole bunch on Arena, looking at this data over and over, you can be like, okay, I definitely played better when I have about 25 creatures in the deck. That's my play style, so I'll leave it up to you. You'll see. Sideboard. The last thing is, sideboard should be things that help play all decks. So if I really wanted to, I probably would take Aven Interrupter and throw it on the sideboard, because it's a great card, but the deck doesn't revolve around Flash or Plot, so this is not necessarily something I need. It's great. It's showing great success in the decks that I've played against with Standard, but this is something that should probably be on the sideboard. And then I should probably make a couple of these 4-ups just for that consistency. But it helps. The double white's not a problem. I don't need double red. Red's great with Angel Fire, Facebreaker, Aurelia. Aurelia's awesome. And this card is pretty sweet. Elspeth, pretty solid. And I had one of the Wandering Emperor. I just finally got another Mythic craft card. I am a free-to-play player, so I do not have a bunch of these. Let's see. Can you see? You can. Okay. So yeah, I've got one Mythic right now that I could craft, and it's just not. I gotta be careful about what I'm building, and I typically will build off the deck that I had previously, which is why I'm like always Boros. But if you pay attention to it, it does change. Okay. And those are the main things. Those are definitely the main things when it comes to building a deck that you want to touch on. Also, when it comes to lands, 24. 24 is what I believe it prompts the auto build at, but it also is because that is the 40% chance. I also have a video on that. If you want to take a look, find that video. I'll actually just also, I saw a lot of the returning subscribers are viewing the modern drafts more so. There's like a solid peak in that, so I will definitely try to do more modern videos. I'll show you my MTG decks. I've got one modern deck that's just very annoying. I just keep blinking Stonehorn Dignitary and Venser Sojourner, and I'm just trying to no combat phase. My opponent gets no combat phase, no combat phase, no combat phase, and it's just so annoying. But that one's interesting. Goblin deck, you'll like the Goblin deck the most. But that is going to do it. I do appreciate you joining me as always. Watch these games, get those gains, and walk those planes. Until next time.